Hey, Nicole Huntsman here from moderncosmic.com. In this series, we are going to go over the houses in the birth chart. And we're going to talk about them and how they affect your love life. So we're going to go over each of the houses. I'm going to explain to you what the houses even are, and then we will talk about how they will show up in your love life, okay? Of course, the 12 houses of the birth chart cover all different circumstances in our lives, but even something as mundane as chores that you might find in the 6th house, or how you approach chores, or your daily life, or maybe the 2nd house, how you approach money and what you value. These things will have some kind of an impact in your love life. So let's go into the technical explanation of what the houses are exactly, and I'm going to be using sort of a Placidus house system explanation because it's the most commonly used house system with Western astrologers, and it's the house system that I typically tend to prefer. It's the one that I lean towards. So let's get started with that, and then we'll go into each of the houses and what the space that they hold for you in your love life. Let's talk about the moon now in romantic relationships. So we're looking at the moon in your birth chart, in your natal chart, or in your partner's, in their natal chart. It's not inner aspects, it's just in your chart. Your moon is your instinctive emotional response to a situation, okay? You get in a car accident, your moon is how you're going to respond, all right? You have something good happen, you feel love for your partner, your moon is how you're going to express that love for them, okay? It's your sun sign is the outer kind of, I want you to think of the sun sign, I always say it's like the canvas that we're painting on. The moon sign is going to be the colors, it's the actual paint that we're putting onto the canvas, okay? It's the expression of the inner world. Your moon sign many times will feel more like who you really are, and if you want to really know somebody else, find out their moon sign and find out if you can get their birth time, find out the house it falls into. Birth time is very important if you've got a moon sign that's on the cusp, okay? Because the moon is moving so quickly through of course, as it's moving around the earth, it moves very quickly. And in a month, it makes its path all the way around through all 12 zodiac signs. So it's cruising on through each sign. So find out the time if possible, then you can have your house placements. And the house placement's going to color the moon. So we're going to talk about that right now. The houses are like stained glass in my mind. And the houses also will show you in that person's personality, emotionally. The zodiac sign will show you kind of, it's like the adverb, okay? The moon is to feel. I'll use mine, I'm an Aries. I have an Aries moon. I feel things passionately, I feel them quickly, I feel them intensely, or well, that's my house placement. I have an 8th house moon, so that means I feel things with that Aries part of me intensely, quickly, passionately about deep. I love psychology. I love understanding how people work. I have no problem in crisis situations. I can handle people who are pretty intense, etc., etc. Okay, like I gravitate towards relationships where there are dynamics of tension or dynamics of power. That kind of thing. Okay, so we're going to talk about now, we're going to go through each of the houses and specifically how that you or your partner's moon expresses, how that colors and flavors the way that their moon expresses. Remember, look at the zodiac sign. You're blending the zodiac sign of the moon and the house. They're both really important. They work in tandem with one another, along with everything else, but we're keeping it simple. Okay. Moon in the 1st house. 1st house is the Aries house. You put the moon there. The 1st house has a lot to do with you as an entity. So this tells us you're someone who has a bit of emotional reaction. You're someone who's quite reactive in situations. Even if you've got sort of a placid moon placement, if it's like a Pisces moon, okay, or like a Virgo moon, still it's this. You're going to go to the emotions first. It's just through that lens. So if it's a Pisces moon, you're going to be quite compassionate. If it's a Virgo moon, you're going to be someone who maybe worries a bit. You could be someone that those emotions of anxiety or something that characterize your personality. Moon in the 1st house, these people tend to need a relationship that has some emotional intensity to it and some emotional depth to it. They can also be quick to fall in love. They can be a little quicker because this is the 1st house, this is the Aries house. They can be sort of spontaneous with their emotional expression. We're going to have a hard time not wearing their heart on the sleeve. Like people sort of know emotionally where they're at because it'll be pretty obvious. It colors their personality being in the 1st house, all right? Also, if you think of this moon as being similar to an Aries moon, okay, an Aries moon, they're quick to sort of make decisions, they're quick to decide, they know what they want, and they're quick to sort of take action on that, okay? So emotionally, the emotional nature is going to be one that's quick. And it's, again, look at the zodiac sign because it's going to show you the nature of the quickness, okay? If it's a Taurus moon, which typically Taurus moons, emotionally, they like things to be a little more placid and they like to take their time with things and they have a hard time sort of changing direction. They can be a little, easygoing, so to speak. In the first house, they may just, it might be like a bull in a china shop. It just is like, I want you, and they're really focused and like they meet someone, they're just immediately into that person, they're very sensually attracted to that person and want to make things happen and they'll focus that determined Taurus energy with that fiery Aries spirit. And it's like, pretty hard to stop that emotional train, okay? Okay, second house is our house of possessions. It's our house of finances. Having the moon there, this is someone who needs to feel emotionally secure through knowing that their partner or that they can pay their bills. It's as simple as that. It's like, emotionally, I need to know that you got your shit together and you can take care of business, okay? Also, our second house is our house of self-esteem. So having the moon there, sometimes there can be the tendency with how we feel about ourselves to have a bit of flux to it, because anywhere the moon falls, we see a cyclical nature. Okay, so in the first house, it can give us a cyclical emotional nature, just our personality. We can be really emotional sometimes, and then almost a bipolar-ishness. I'm not saying if you have a first house moon, you're bipolar. I'm just saying it gives the emotions this up and down nature. In the second house, the moon is going to be a bit more steady, but it's understanding the value of one's emotions, even how one feels about something, and perhaps sometimes not being like knowing how they feel, but not being totally secure in that unless the partner also validates it back. Okay, that could be an issue. It can also give a bit of a stubbornness, a bit of a, well, this is how I feel, you should feel the same way. All the fixed signs do that. All the fixed signs are the ones when I have clients or people comment on YouTube or wherever, they're the ones that will say things like, well, doesn't everyone feel that way? And that's very fixed energy to say that. Doesn't everyone feel that way? It's like, well, no, they don't actually. There's people that feel all different types of things. So the moon in the second house can have a tendency also to behave like a Taurus moon, where they can get into situations and relationships and the devil they know is better than the devil they don't know. So they can get kind of stuck in relationships where they know they should move on, but they're just not quite sure how to take steps, or they're just, don't want to hurt someone, that kind of thing. And they're secure where they're at right now, and moving on would mean insecurity. So they'll sometimes stay put rather than take that action to move on. Moon in the third house. All right. So a natal moon in the third house in a romantic context is going to be someone who emotionally, they need to be heard. Okay. So they've got to feel like emotionally you connect with each other through your words. They need to be able to talk to you about how they're feeling. I pretty much guarantee, even if we have a shyer moon placement, that this is someone who needs to feel like they're understood. They need to feel a connection with their partner. So as far as the love languages, if you've read that book, the 5 love languages, this is definitely one where words of affirmation are very important, and that quality time, sitting and talking with one another, hearing the partner, them listening to you, but it's going to be probably a little bit more about them being heard, because Gemini is more of a kind of, all the air signs and fire signs kind of comes out of them. So emotionally, they've got to be heard. Emotionally also, there needs to be an excitement, and they're going to be attracted to partners who are intelligent, partners who bring new information to their world. This is a busyness here with this placement. And it's also a head-heart connection, someone who they're going to tell you through their words how they feel about you. There should be a pretty fairly even, you could have Saturn to the moon, or maybe even someone who's got a Capricorn moon. If you put it in this house, it's going to be someone who's like a straight shooter. They're going to say it like it is. They might not say it as often, as frequently as someone who's got a moon in Sagittarius in the third house, but they're going to tell you. When they tell you, they mean it. Also, third house, when we think of the moon, emotionally, the moon is already, as a planet, it's changing all the time, right? That's why, or a satellite, it's our satellite, but we call it a planet. It's changing. Gemini is also a mutable sign, and it's the twins. It's a dual-bodied sign with the two twins. And so there's a change a changeability to both of these, both this planet, the moon, and to this zodiac sign, and to this house, the third house. This desire to change, to emotionally be one thing one day and something else another day, can be a little confusing for the moon person. They could be someone who feels like, geez, emotionally I'm feeling this right now, and now I feel like I'm Jekyll and Hyde, now I'm feeling this. This can be an issue with a moon in the third house. So a partner who's patient and who's more kind of steady and consistent is a nice match for this type of moon placement. Also with the moon in the third house, remember Gemini is very much about this fun, fraternal communication, just buddies, friends, chatting with each other. They don't really like the deep, dark recesses of like the eighth house. Someone whose moon's in the eighth house likes these more secretive, deep, dark, intense emotions. Moon in the third house prefers, let's keep it light, let's keep it fun and chirpy and talkative and communicative, and let's not go so into those dark, yucky, scary places. Okay, so they appreciate a relationship that's more, friendly and fun and communicative and cerebral, more so than the one that's going to get dark and emo and heavy. Moon in the fourth house. This is our Cancer house. Moon is very happy here. As far as your love life goes, though, I shouldn't say as far, I'm saying that like as though I'm prefacing something negative. It's a good thing. There's a nurturing quality. There's this desire with the partner to be close to the partner, physically close to the partner. The moon is how you feel. It's your instincts. You need to feel safe, secure, loved. Moon in the fourth house is not going to be okay with a partner that they're not sure has their back. Okay, they're not going to feel safe with a partner where they're not sure if that partner is all in. So many times, they like living with the partner. They like being physically close to the partner, cooking for the partner, or going and grabbing a bite together, or enjoying a movie together, Netflix and chill, but like doing that every night with the same person, not with like multiple people. Moon in the fourth house needs to feel safe and secure. They need to feel like they are loved, and they're not going to open up to someone. Okay, well, let me put it this way. Moon in the fourth house is not the type to casually sleep around with a lot of people. Okay, that's not what they're built for. They're built for closeness. They're built for bonding. They're affectionate. They want to shower you with their love and their devotion and nurture you and receive that in return. They want to know that they're safe with you. Even if we've got like, let's say an Aquarius moon, okay? It's got an Aquarius moon, which is very freedom-loving, kind of a detached moon placement. It's someone who is logical. Their head and their heart talk to each other a lot, and they fight with each other actually. And you put it in the fourth house, that moon still, it's going to, with that particular moon, you could have someone who's really kind of struggles between this need for freedom and this need for closeness. That could be a real issue for that moon placement. But overall, they still are going to be affectionate, and they're going to appreciate mothering and nurturing and caring for you, whether it's a man or a woman. Okay, moon in the fourth house appreciates creating a safe environment for their partner, and also they themselves feeling safe in their relationship, that they're loved, that there's a devotion there, and that there's not cheating happening. The open relationship thing is not a good thing for a moon in the fourth house. I don't care about anything else in the chart. Just if you got a moon in fourth house or a moon in Cancer, there's a very, very good chance that if you are trying the open relationship thing, casual dating, it's probably not working for you because it's not how you're built. You're built to build security. It's about family. It's about closeness, oneness, and that special bond you can have with another person or with your group, your family, that you don't experience with everyone. That's not how it works. Intimacy is not about being with a lot of different people. Intimacy is about being with the sacred, with the profane, those you hold dear. So that's a fourth house moon need, big time. Moon in the fifth house, if we were to talk about people who were predisposed to having a good time when it comes to love and romance, we would definitely be looking at people with moon in the fifth house, or perhaps the ninth house, or perhaps the first house, the fiery houses, Now, fifth house is traditionally, or I should just say it's kind of, when I think of what's the house of the lovers, or their one night stand, or just kind of casual, fun, no harm meant, just sex. Okay, that's fifth house. Someone whose moon is in the fifth house, they are more open to, they're all about like, let's have fun. Let's have fun together. They're more risky. They're willing to take gambles. The fifth house is the house of gambling, So romantically, they need to have kind of an element of excitement and an element of danger almost even. And not danger necessarily, but you know what I'm saying. It needs to be fun and fresh, and they're very playful. There is this humor that comes with the fifth house. Now, fifth house is also the Leo house, so there can be the tendency to be a little stubborn in what they want. You know, the fixed signs, all when they want something, they want it and they're really focused on it. And they can be, the moon in the fifth house can be really generous and affectionate, and just like the sun shines on all of us, right? But at the same time, the sun also is this heavy mass that creates the gravity that keeps us all spinning around it, okay? So it's the same thing with a Leo. They just sort of like expect, well, of course, like I'm the center of, you know, that moon in that fifth house can kind of just consider their own emotional needs sometimes. So you just have to be careful about that. Same with the first house moon. There can be a focus on, well, I need my needs met, and you're not meeting my needs. Not to say that everyone with the moon in the fifth house is selfish, but there just is this sort of introverted feeling function where they're very aware of how they're being treated in a romantic relationship. And like I said, they are also, though, very generous with their love, and they bestow it upon the people that they care about and that they're focused on. Something else to note about the fifth house, because this is this house of play, it's the house of children, you know, this fun sunshine on a sunny day on your naked back kind of a house, okay? The moon, the emotional nature of this person, many times they don't like to deal with heavy stuff. They don't like to deal with sober messes, okay? So in a relationship, if there's a lot of drama and not necessarily from them, because the moon in the fifth house can be quite dramatic, because this is Leo we're talking about. But if their partner is being too dramatic and there's too many emotional dramas or depressive sort of incidences happening in the relationship, this person will be turned off by that. Okay, they're off to greener pastures where it's more fun and more playful. That can happen. And you know, emotionally, they just want things to be sunshine. They want it to be warm, pleasant, fun, exciting, vibrant, vivacious. That's what moon in the fifth house needs to feel happy. If you're dating someone with the moon in the fifth house, new experiences, exciting, risk-taking, you know, being a little crazy together, that's something that's very fun for a moon in the fifth house. Moon in the fifth house also is somebody who appreciates being the one taking action. All the fire houses, they're the assertive ones. They're more comfortable in that role of asserting their will onto you. That's why, you know, like someone with the moon in this house is like, well, I want to go to the park today, so let's go to the park today. You know, they'll tell you what they want. They're not the kind where it's like a moon in the sixth house, they're more like, well, what would you like to do today? That's moon in the sixth house. That's Virgo, okay? This house is like, this is what I want. This is what I need. And they're good at expressing what they need too. They'll tell you what they need. And so you can either do it or not. And that's how it works with a fixed house placement for the moon. Moon in the sixth house. Sixth house is our Virgo house. Remember, this is the house that's to do with servants. So when you think about that relative to your love life, I always think of this house as the house of earthly service to other beings, okay? If your moon is there, that means there is a certain need for purpose in your relationships. If it's the man, a lot of times I see this as a placement for men who are attracted to women who need to be rescued. And if you're a woman, it's sort of the same thing, but sort of in flip. It's like getting with the bad boy that's got a drinking problem or that is sleeping around. And it's like you feel like you have to work for or show up and be devoted to this person. And if you do this enough, that somehow they will reciprocate, okay? That can happen. So there's sort of this ideal about how the relationship's going to play out. And many times there's disappointment when it doesn't. Okay, so that's like the bad news. Now the good news is this is a placement that's very devoted. This is one where emotionally this person is much more comfortable in the role of taking care of you and your needs, and you know, if you're the partner, rather than sometimes with the moon in the sixth house and 12th house, they can be a little bit uncomfortable or just not sure how to respond to somebody else taking care of them. And they're kind of like, oh, there's a humility there and a modesty. And so it's funny because they really want you to show up for them, but they're not going to ask for it necessarily. Many times they'll show up for you and they'll really want it in return. They're just not going to ask for it. And then when you show up for them, they kind of feel a little like shy about it. Like, oh, thanks, that was nice of you. You know, they'll feel kind of not befuddled, but they just won't really know what to say, okay? But they'll be grateful for it, okay? There can be a little awkwardness there. You know, again, you know, this moon placement is one also, they might have a hard time telling you, really letting you know emotionally how they're feeling. Not necessarily, depending on other placements, Mercury and whatnot, but not necessarily the most chatty or open about their emotional needs, okay? So they really need a partner who's pretty sensitive to recognizing their little cues, and helping them feel like they're worthy of love and affection, adoration, just as they're willing to give it, that they're worthy of it in return. A partner who really dotes on them, it would be very helpful. And while you would think, they'll be attracted, you could be attracted, if you've got your moon in the 6th house, you might be attracted to a partner who, like if you're a woman with them in the 6th house, you might be attracted to like the bad boy, extrovert, who's just playing the field. And that's fine and all, because you'll feel like you have a job to do with him. You'll know your job. But that's not your best ideal long-term relationship. Your best guy is going to be someone actually who is more of a solid force that you can lean on. It will help you then realize that you're worthy of the same type of adoration in return. So I really love Virgo. I think it's a fantastic sign that's misunderstood by a lot of people. Quite devoted, and it's that inward, receptive, or not receptive rather. It's got this quality to it where they're much better sort of observing and taking action where they think they need to take action from the role of being the assistant rather than asking for what they want. So ask for what you want if your moon's in the 6th house, and if you're dating someone like this, you need to really pay attention to their cues and be very respectful of what it is they're asking for, or else you're going to hurt their feelings. Moon in the 7th house in romantic context. The 7th house, it's the house, the Libra house, the house of partnership. If your moon is there, you are naturally going to be someone who enjoys working with other people. You're going to naturally enjoy, harmonizing with other people, getting along well, playing well with others. A lot of times I see people with moon in the 7th house, I've mentioned this in other videos, that perhaps have a bit of a tough go with relationships, in particular with Jupiter, which is funny because you'd think, oh, well, these people are people that understand relationship. They really gravitate towards relating to others. You would think that relationship would come easily for them. But many times, because they have this ability to defer to the partner, to harmonize with a lot of different types of people, they can get themselves into situations where they're with someone that other people could find difficult to play with, and it's almost like, well, I figured this person out. And so, now this is my partner, and then they have to sort of deal with that person who's difficult to play with down the road when things get less rosy and honeymoonish. So, but overall, this is somebody who appreciates the one-on-one contact with other people and really needs that. And so in their relationship, there needs to be a high degree of, if we were talking love languages, this would be someone who really appreciated quality time, somebody who also appreciates words of affirmation. The moon is your emotions. You're placing it in an air house. So they really need to hear and express their feelings. They need their feelings heard. They need to feel understood. They need to, if there's conflict, they need a partner that's willing to work until the conflict is taken care of. They're not going to be comfortable going to bed after a fight if things are still all up in the air. They want harmony and peace. And ultimately, you're lucky if this is your partner, if they've got the moon in the 7th house. This is someone who's a real sweetheart. And is really, really interested in making things work for both parties. Moon in the 8th house in romantic relationships. All right, so this is in your natal chart. I have this placement, so I'm going to speak to you from my personal experience. Moon in the 8th house. This is an emotional nature that appreciates mystery. It appreciates intense emotion. It appreciates sort of the dark side of relating to another person, which can involve obsession and jealousy and possessiveness. But because it's the 8th house and it's the moon, there is a desire to keep a lot of this emotion hidden, okay? So for example, the thing with Scorpio and with 8th house and Pluto is these people that have these markers in their chart that are strong, they feel things really intensely, almost to the point of being like scary, to them. It can feel scary, or it can feel sort of like, especially if the rest of their charts. So like, I'm a Libra, okay, which is an air sign, which is very surface. It likes to have conversation and keep things light and easy. When you have a moon, in Aries, which is also pretty like, let's like get down to business, and it's not super emotional, but it's in the 8th house. And so I love psychology. I love understanding what makes people tick. I love understanding the mysteries behind why someone does the things that they do, okay? And emotionally, I gravitate towards relationships where there's a high degree of I like closeness with my partner, so I like a relationship where there's a high degree of emotional closeness. And there's not that fear of, if I show this to you, how will you respond? You know, I like a partner that's pretty brave emotionally and that will just kind of let it all show, because then I feel safe to show my stuff. Otherwise, I'm not showing it to anybody. It is in there inside of me, and the only place it comes out would be like late at night when I write weird poetry. So, but you know, it's hidden inside. So that's 8th house moon. They feel things very intensely, and they'll brood on things and think about things and feel things for a long time. There's a hard time emotionally letting go of people and things in their life unless they've let go. So it's kind of all in or all out. They are either brooding over someone or something for a long time because they haven't let go yet, or they've completely cut it off and it's dead to them. Okay, so it's like one or the other with the moon in this house. So if you are coming along and you've got someone with the moon in the 8th house, just be prepared for, they're going to have emotions come out of them in ways that mystify themselves. Okay, so just you have to be willing to kind of walk that path with them and realize that they need loyalty, they need devotion. They don't do well in relationships where there is openness and not, it's like I said, it's all or nothing. So it's like they can do the casual relationship if it's totally casual and there are no feelings involved, and they can do the committed relationship if it's, you know, all in, like we're all in, we're doing this. So it's one or the other. There's no gray. They can't do the gray in between. Okay, that's moon in the 8th house. Moon in the 9th house. Okay. 9th house is our Sagittarius house, the house of wisdom. It's very optimistic, growth-oriented, forward-leaning. So if someone's got their moon there, they need a relationship that has these qualities to it, okay? They appreciate a relationship where they share philosophies with their partner. If they believe the same thing, whether religiously they come from the same background, or they can talk about these things together. Moon in the 9th house needs to always be growing and emotionally expanding their boundaries of how they feel about the world around them. Someone with the moon in the 9th house is someone who's a seeker. They naturally, emotionally, if something's happened that was sort of they got in a fight with a partner, okay, they want to forgive, they want to move on, they want to fix things. So if they've got a partner who sort of gets stuck or holds grudges, that just doesn't do well for a moon in Sagittarius, okay? They want to, okay, we're here, you know, we're always spiraling and becoming, you know, bigger versions of ourselves. So it's like, we're stuck here. If we're stuck here, then we're stuck, and they'll leave, okay? Sagittarius also, they're very interested in, you know, this is the house of publishing. This is the house of the story. They want a partner they can laugh with, they can create a story with, that they can experience life with, that they can seek with, okay? They want to learn with you, grow with you, do the dance of life with you. You know, it's kind of like an inspirational poster, but like in a relationship, you know. They very much have this positive attitude towards mistakes. If you've made mistakes, they want to fix them and move on, or sometimes not even fix them, just move on, you know, just let them go. They're mutable, so they have that ability to just let things go and move on quite easily. Also, this is the house that has to do with travel. So whether it's literal travel or metaphorical, they need to feel the sense of movement in the relationship, like it's going somewhere, it's growing. Not the most committed, you know, Sagittarius is not our most committed. It's like they're not even focused on that so much. It's not about a piece of paper or words we've said to each other. It's about, are both of us in this to the same degree? Are we both growing? Are we both feeling positive and good about this? Then let's keep that going. Let's keep that momentum, that fire burning. That's kind of more where they operate from. All right, moon in the 10th house. 10th house is that house of career and work. Having your moon there. Now, here's the thing. Remember, your moon's your instinctive, emotional nature, so it's what drives your actions and your behavior. So having it in the house of career says you're probably a workaholic, or you're very focused on career. You're someone emotionally that receives a lot of gratification from the things you do in the outer world that show that you've accomplished something or achieved something. So what can happen many times with this placement is we just simply are spending so much time focused on career that we neglect our personal life. Or we're able to, when we are buffeted by the blows of our personal life, things not working out well, we'll turn to work to sort of find satisfaction and find security and find emotional gratification. So, you know, that can be a problem. Also, with this placement, sometimes we worry too much about what other people think of us, and we avoid a relationship that could be really fulfilling and gratifying for us on a deep emotional level because we're concerned about what other people might think of the relationship rather than, and we'll stop ourselves. And where the 10th house is Capricorn, which is Saturn, which is restrictions. It's the bridle. It's stopping something. It's this idea that you have to work for whatever it is you're getting. So putting the moon there, it's like you have to work for the love that you want. There's a sense of perhaps being separated from the person that you love, like it's never going to work out. You can never be with the one that you love, so you might as well just give up, just focus on work or focus on these things you can control. Those are very, and if you've got Saturn aspects to that moon, even more so, more of the restricting one's emotional expression and need for love and need for emotional closeness with another person. Okay, so, but on the high side, a moon in the 10th house is a placement that's very loyal. Okay, I don't care where that moon falls, whatever it's in. Perhaps we can talk about this relative to work. If you've got a business partner, you'll be very loyal to them. If you've got a friend, you'll be very loyal to them. If you've got a lover, you'll be very loyal to that person. If you've decided that this relationship is important to you, which would be in the 10th house, emotionally it's important to you, you're going to take it seriously and you're going to place weight and gravity on it and you're going to take care of it and you're going to grow it. 10th house is interested in growing. It's interested in taking things seriously, like I just said. Okay, so it's let's plan what we're going to do together and let's move in that direction. Someone with the moon in the 10th house also is going to know pretty quickly if this relationship is going to work or not. There's discernment and there's a quality. The thing they can do sometimes is cut things before they've even had the chance to really get to know if this person's right for them or not. That does happen frequently with moon in the 10th house. So there is a sense of closedness to their emotional nature rather than openness in the 10th house. So trying to open a little bit more to experiences and open to people that are unfamiliar to you, if you're a moon in the 10th house, might do you some service. You might learn something from that. But otherwise, it's a very, like I said, loyal. They take the relationship seriously. So if they've decided that you're the one for them, they mean it. They're serious about that. Moon in the 11th house. 11th house is the house of friendship. This is the Aquarius house. Remember, moon is our reactive emotional nature, right? 11th house in Aquarius, there is a bit of, Aquarius is traditionally ruled by Saturn, which also rules Capricorn. And as you know, with Saturn, there is a bit of restriction when it comes to the expression of that planet. So when we're talking about the moon, that's the emotional expression. Now, there's an added little curve or twist to this one. When you put it in the 10th house, that's kind of like you sublimate that energy through work and through accomplishment, achievement, and material ways, okay? In the 11th house, it's like you sublimate that energy, that romantic energy, through your friendships or through associations you belong to, or even if you're someone who, let's say you're someone who's kind of new agey and you're really focused on that, and that's your emotional kind of identifier in a sense. You find safety and security in being this sort of new agey person. I know it's more of an identity thing, that's a sun thing, but if that's where you place your emotional energy in these friendships, these associations, or social media, social media is also an 11th house thing. And it can be a diffusion of your emotional energy through friendships, through these sort of multiple social outlets, rather than through the connection with just one person. And in fact, I would even say that's just how you're built. Like, you need to have a lot of emotional contacts. You care a lot about the collective. You care a lot about your friends. You're going to care a lot about all the people you've loved in the past, all your past lovers. You'll remain friends with them most likely, unless you have like some really strong, I don't know, Scorpio stuff or Pluto. Well, if you've got some strong stuff where you're like, I'm done with you, you're dead to me. Other than that, a moon in the 11th house is very much their friends remain their lovers. Now, also, I dated someone, the Sagittarius guy I've talked about before, he had his moon in the 11th house. We went on dates so many times, or we would hardly ever would go on trips unless it was with friends. So there were always friends around, even romantically, they've got their lover with them, but then they also have friends with them. And they also need to have a lover that it feels like a friend, that can hang with any of their friends. If you're a partner that doesn't like to be around their friends, that's not going to work well for a moon in the 11th house. They really need to feel like it's okay for them to have a lot of friends around. It's okay for them to socialize with many different types of people, whether they're with you or not with you. A high degree of trust. You need to trust that if they said they're with you, that they're with you. They are a fix. This is a fixed sign. So, unless there are other things in the chart that indicate otherwise, if a moon in the 11th house loves you and they want to be with you, then that's where they're at that moment. And you need to trust that. Okay. Moon in the 12th house. 12th house is a tricky one. So the 12th house is this house that's the unconscious. So when someone's emotional nature is colored through their 12th house, they sometimes emotionally don't know what they want or don't know what they're feeling or aren't sure, like, you know, they just sense something, they feel something. There's a really deep, strong, powerful intuition with a moon in the 12th house, but sometimes they don't quite know how to access it. Sometimes it comes through their dreams. They'll have very vivid dreams. Sometimes they have this strong sense that they need to be taking care of other people and serving other people, and at the expense of their own emotional needs. And so this can be a placement for someone who emotionally is very compassionate, very loving, very forgiving, but they sort of forgive and are compassionate to everybody but themselves. You know, they're more comfortable in this role of, and it's not that they necessarily directly are being cruel to themselves, but perhaps they won't allow themselves to be in relationships that would be ones that are healthy and supportive of their emotions. Now, that being said, I don't like blanket statements. I'm not saying everyone with their moon in the 12th house doesn't know how to be in a healthy relationship. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying there is an element of compassion that comes with the moon in the 12th house that's profound. And so many times they feel emotionally safe in relationships where they know they have a job to do, which is to love this person, this other person who's maybe not functioning at their best, okay? It's really similar to a Pisces moon, okay? They're comfortable taking care of someone who needs their help. They're comfortable seeing like, okay, this person is hurting and I want to heal that. I want to heal that wound. I want to wrap them up in my little blanket of warmth and make them better, like a little broken bird. But what happens is that person gets better and then that person either flies away or that person stays in the nest and resents them for making them stay in the nest when they really should be flying. And so ultimately, the moon in the 12th house needs to get to a place where they can express that love and compassion for their partner for sure, while at the same time recognizing their own needs and being with a partner who dotes on them equally, sort of like the 6th house with Virgo, okay? These both 6th house and 12th house moons are so loving and really have this ability to take care of other people in such a way that it's so selfless that sometimes they get taken advantage of by people who would take advantage of that emotional strength, because to me it's a strength. I think they can love in ways that are really, really, really powerful. So if you're with someone with their moon in the 12th house, they're probably not the best at asking for what they want. In fact, they really many times have a hard time with it. You got to just really, they're very sensitive too. If you've missed something, they're going to be hurt and they're probably not going to tell you. They're very sensitive and sweet, and so you got to really protect them in return as they would do for you, because they show up moon and 12th houses many times for people that they love over and over again. Very forgiving, very loving. So don't take it for granted. Okay, that's the moon romantically through the 12th houses. We'll move on to Mercury communication in romance and how that kind of plays out through the 12th houses in our next video series. Thanks for watching. Okay, bye-bye.